on campus, CU Engage, it's our new center for research and outreach, Invest Community Studies, which works with undergraduates, the Environmental Studies program, the College of Arts and Sciences, and the President's Office. So thank you to all of those. And finally, a huge thank you to the Office of Outreach and Engagement that will sponsor Eli Goldblatt's keynote lunch tomorrow. They have a new director, David Means, who will come talk with us, and he just got it. He was so excited, you know, really seeing that we are the first discipline to have kind of called together this many people to figure out what we might do together as a discipline. So that in itself, reaching out to sponsors, was a kind of engaged infrastructure that we were building. And it was a really great opportunity for me to discuss with people across campus and across the city what our program has to offer. So can I tell you a little bit about our program? John Michael mentioned WISE, the Writing Initiative for Service and Engagement. We committed in 2008 to integrate service learning and community-engaged pedagogies through our entire vertical curriculum. And we now have 30% of our faculty and graduate students teaching WISE courses. That's to about 1,400 students a year, and those students do about 15,000 hours worth of community-based writing and research for the community. So it's very cool. It's become an integral part of our program and who we are. So I'm also grateful to my incredible colleagues for making that happen. So let me give you a little background to why I wanted to do this conference and why building engaged infrastructure. I've been working for the last 7 years on the advisory committee of Campus Compact of the Mountain West, and we run engaged faculty institutes, engaged department institutes, and we just started doing engaged institution institutes. And through all of this work, a couple themes have emerged as I talk with faculty from across the country. One is that, not a surprise, when faculty are encouraged and supported and rewarded in this work, they do it much more effectively, and it's a much more sustainable endeavor. The other thing that I heard repeatedly was from graduate students and junior faculty who said that they were told not to do this work until post-tenure. And that is something that recurred across the country in conversations. And as I heard this more and more, I thought that is a script that needs revising. We have to figure out how to support our passionate and engaged junior faculty and graduate students. I think sometimes that warning comes from a good place. It's people concerned that the person will devote too much time. It's incredibly time intensive to do this kind of work. But sometimes it also represents an institutional misconception that the work is touchy-feely volunteerism, or it's outreach or service. It's not counted as engaged scholarship. So that script needs to be revised as well. And as I started to think, you know, if the department is the barrier, or if the institution is the barrier, is there something we might do on a national level as a discipline to help encourage the work so that it can be done and we can move around those institutional barriers and help others revise that idea? So let's figure out together not only how to encourage the work, but to offer criteria through which it can be effectively evaluated and framed. Linda Adler-Kastner tells us how important that framing is. Can we offer mentorship? Can we offer a national network of support for faculty and community partners and departments themselves as they commit to this kind of institutional engagement? And we here, I think, know that the distinctions that we set sometimes between universities and communities are arbitrary. And so helping to break down those barriers is one of the goals for this conference, whether you define your community as a neighborhood or an online community or a planet. And this is such an exciting prospect because we've seen over the last several years how often community engagement helps universities revitalize themselves. And we see in the media how universities are often questioned, like, is higher ed still relevant? Do people still need a higher ed degree? And this is something that happens simultaneously to the corporatization of our universities. We see them increasingly run like businesses. But at the same time, we are offering something so powerful to counter that movement. Think about what our field offers: service learning, community publishing, writing beyond the curriculum, writing across communities, community literacy, the public turn, the political turn. We offer a really powerful way for universities to remain vital and relevant. And we offer our students a critical practice that runs counter to that educational trend that sees them increasingly as consumers buying a brand. As Paula Matthew tells us, to acknowledge the present as radically insufficient is a hopeful action when acting as a prerequisite for future actions and imaginings. So how might we work from within this radically insufficient system to catalyze an evolution of the university? I believe that's what we're working on here. We're part of a historic effort that has been coalescing for many years, and we are part of something emerging right here now, declaring that community-engaged public work and critical literacies are at the heart of the emergent university. We're helping to create a system that is responsive to our communities, that's relevant to our communities, and that is adaptive in the face of tremendous educational, economic, environmental, and social inequalities. So what do we do? I'm thinking of Paul Feigenbaum's new fabulous book, Collaborative Imagination. It has to be a collaborative imagining on our part. There's so many really distinct, wonderful projects that are represented in this room, so it can't be prescriptive. But we clearly have a critical mass to do something really important. I'm thinking of this conference as a verb. We are collectively enacting the theme of building engaged infrastructure. We're materializing it right here. And as Jeff Grable reminds us, infrastructures enact standards. They are activity systems, and they are also the people themselves. At most conferences, we hear about work that has already happened. They're generally retrospective. I want this conference to be prospective. We're hearing about past and current work in order to generate something more, something deeper, something bigger than any one of us or one course or one project. I'm talking about a national network of actors, an organization like Computers and Writing, or WPA, a network of people and resources and projects. I've been talking with so many of you over the last year about what this infrastructure might include, and so here are some of the really wonderful ideas that we've gotten. A mentoring network for graduate students and junior faculty, a learning outcomes model for community writing, a WPA consultant model for working with and assessing engaged programs, awards for outstanding dissertation, article, book, community project, and distinguished scholar of community writing. And something that my colleagues at CU Boulder and I have been thinking about, and I have no idea how to do it, so I'm hoping someone will, is imagine a crowdsourced interactive map of the country, and you click on a state and it pulls up everyone in that state doing engaged work, or you can click on a university and it pulls up people in the writing program or in the communication or English programs doing that work. Or you type in poverty, and everyone in the country doing this work comes up, and it allows us to engage in a much deeper and more connected way. So if you know how to do that, call us. We are very interested. We have at this conference so many people who have led the way, and I want to thank them and acknowledge them. Eli Goldblatt and Steve Parks, are they here yet? In 2008, called together about 20 people in Philadelphia for imagining community literacy. And their objective, according to Eli, was to ask, what is the state of things? It seems that there's this new movement growing, and do we want to create some kind of collaborative unit? And in 2011, Shannon Carter and Deborah Mutnick called for a political turn in composition studies and founded the Writing Democracy Project, imagining a revival of the Federal Writers Project. They hosted a conference of about 150 people in Commerce, Texas, and they host pre-conference workshops at the Seas every year. In 2012, Michelle Hall-Kells hosted about 40 people in Santa Fe for the summit of the National Consortium of Writing Across Communities. So there's been this desire for some kind of collaborative unit. When we put out our call, we had no idea what was going to happen, and 350 people showed up. So it is obviously our time to get something together. It shows me that there's been some kind of surge in the last several years, some kind of exponential growth in the number of people committed to university community projects, in the number of people committed to a scholarly praxis that involves social justice work, and the growth in the number of people who see the need for infrastructural support. I think that our theme resonated with a lot of us. So to return to the campus compact model for engaged faculty and engaged departments, I want to ask, what if we think of ourselves as the first engaged discipline? What are the possibilities for what that might mean? What would it mean for how writing programs are structured, or how graduate students are trained? What would it mean for faculty searches, for our journals, for our book series? As we move through the next 3 days together, let's talk about how we might rethink any barriers we've encountered as opportunities. What do you want to contribute to this emergent, engaged discipline? There's no prescriptive element. I'm hoping we come away with a sense of awe at the incredible work our colleagues are doing around the world, and with a sense of excitement that we are building something that could really shape the field, something that is supportive and collaborative and visionary and celebratory. In his discussion of oppositional politics, Steve Parks asks, how does a project gain strength to last longer than a moment? How does a project move from resisting a previous system to creating a new one? And Eli Goldblatt says, once we have considered the underlying principles, the specific instances begin to look less like an array of random but well-meaning projects and more like multiple manifestations of a single vision. During this conference, there are going to be a number of ways for you to share your vision as we create this emergent discipline in engaged scholarship. We have one that I want to especially point out to you, the Flash Lab. What is a Flash Lab? A Flash Lab is our attempt to offer you a space when you have had a fabulous conversation in a panel or in a workshop that is spilling over and the time is out and you have to move on. This is a space for you to call together a group of people and tweet. What is our, Gary, what is our hashtag? Conf, C-O-N-F, C-W. So you can tweet, want to talk about X with so-and-so, and then everyone who's interested in that topic can go to the Flash Lab. And so we offer a space for those kind of pop-up panels and roundtables. The Flash Lab also hosts our book displays and journal displays. We have a Cengage Learning display there as well, and they can explain how their new program MindTap can be really beneficial in community partnership work. And we also have computers there for you to blog on our forums, and digital posters. This is the most important thing. So our digital posters are cycling throughout the day. We have different ones on each day. And then there are also designated times for the digital poster creators to do a Q&A with you if you are interested in their poster. And all of those are written in the program that you have. So to conclude, as we build whatever it is we're building, let's continue to develop rigorous research agendas to study how people engage in coordinated network systems of writing and communication, or how people are kept from participating. We're not just gathering data and studying it for the heck of it. I think about Jeff Grable's great chapter and John Ackerman and David Coogan's public work of rhetoric that I think is just called On Being Useful. So how do we as Rhet Comp scholars make our work useful to our communities? How might our understanding influence the processes of communication in ways that help citizens contest or create knowledge or simply have a say in the decisions that impact their lives? How do we aid in moving private or marginalized voices into the public dialogue so that their ideas circulate? A writing program is a vibrant part of a university. We often teach one, if not two, required courses, so we have a really unique opportunity to impact what happens at a university and how we define a vital institution and what its purposes are and can be. We can help facilitate our university's revision process by challenging an entrenched and powerful mindset that, despite mission statements, continues to narrowly define research, teaching, and service, by supporting our grad students and junior faculty in these endeavors as they shape their professional identities and seek employment, reappointment, and tenure, and by mapping our curricula and research agendas to the needs of our communities and to the material and political conditions of members of our global community who could so benefit from and inform our work in critical literacy. In this way, We exist as evolving dynamic parts of our specific locale and of the complex and interconnected global ecosystem. Beginning now with our first set of workshops, let's work toward that together here. Thank you. Thank you.